Hey, what's going down, savages? Welcome to episode 38 of This Savage Life. I'm your host, Stefan Paulin. On today's episode, I had the pleasure of talking with a great friend of mine this past Friday, Jade Salter. Jade is a sports massage therapist, and I met her a few years ago through wrestling, and we struck up this friendship almost immediately. And I've been meaning to have her on the podcast for a while. I just love talking to her. I love her perspective on things, and we share similar views on the world. And I just love talking to her. She's easygoing. She's easy to have a conversation with, and that's why I wanted to have her on. I knew we could have a great conversation, captivating about all sorts of different things. And this is what happened this past Friday. We started with one thing. It led to, a few different subjects. Just a great conversation. Part one today, part two on Thursday. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation I had with Jade Salter.
Invest in your talents.
It's the first time I do it with
Zoom?
Zoom.
Yeah, I
Uh,
actually have been using Zoom quite a bit
Yeah.
for meetings and stuff. Yeah, it seems to be fine. It doesn't really seem like glitchy or anything.
Everybody's been saying, "Oh, you should use Zoom. You should use Zoom," because I normally use Skype, which is fine if you're like one on one.
Yeah,
But if you're, it might look like I'm not looking at you. It's because I look at my screen and my webcam is up here. I
yeah, no worries.
apologize. It's
That's
weird.
okay.
Um, yeah, everybody was like, "Oh, you should try Zoom. You should try Zoom," and I was like, oh, "Okay, I'll try it out." But I got used to using Skype,
Yeah,
and I was like, it works well, but then sometimes it would lag, and the video quality, like right now, I see you like really clear.
yeah,
Like I normally with Skype, I don't see it that clear. So somebody's
interesting.
like, "Oh, it lags less as well, especially if you have more than one person."
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. But I think if you want more than a certain amount of people, I think you have to pay, right?
Well, if you do one-on-one with Zoom, you could do unlimited time. If you do
Yeah,
three or more, you're 40 minutes max.
yeah, that's it.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, and it's like $20 a month if you want to.
Really?
Yeah, I checked it out yesterday. So I'm like, if I'm gonna do one-on-one, I'll do it with Zoom. Uh,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's pretty pricey, actually.
yeah, I mean,
20%. Yeah,
you could limit it to 40 minutes, but then I don't know if you could just stop and restart a new
yeah.
conversation, right? It'd be weird.
It's amazing though. I feel like this company just came out of nowhere, like right at the right time. I'd never even heard of Zoom before quarantine hit.
I had briefly heard of them like a few
Okay.
months before all this started with like meetings and stuff, and people were
Yeah,
using it. And then it blew up, right? Because everybody was using it
yeah, that's
when
it.
all this started. And now
Yeah,
everybody, all the school, my son is on it a couple times a week
yeah,
with school, and
yeah.
it's changed everything. I never used it because people were saying that it steals your information.
Yeah, that's it. There was an article I read that said like Zoom is malware, right? So that it creates viruses. So I've just
Really?
yeah, I've just kept it on one device. I've just kept it on my tablet and not on my phone or anything else. So we'll see. I don't know.
I didn't put it on my phone. I did quickly just to log on, but then I deleted it because now I'm using it with my desktop.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And you probably have less sensitive information on that. So
oh yeah, well,
yeah,
I have it for my podcast and I save
yeah,
everything on there. But
yeah, exactly.
so how are things?
Not bad, not bad. It's funny because I feel like, you have to just, especially with everything that's going on, you have to just take it one day at a time. But at the same time, every day is tending to sort of like meld into one long continual day. So it's more about one day at a time. It's more it's more I think like one moment at a time. Like you really have to just sort of decide, right, I think I'll do this now and I'll do that now. And I find the days are just going so fast though. I don't know about you, but they feel like they're going a lot faster than they used to.
It's weird because when all of this started, I told my wife, I'm like, like everything is slow. Like I feel like everything is slowed down because I don't have anywhere to be. I don't have anything to really do except be at home. And I felt that everything was slowing down. And then after a couple of weeks, it got back to normal. Like the days seemed like the same size, the same length that it were before all this.
Yeah.
And now it's like it's like I'll ask myself a couple times a week, like what day it is, like what, like, and legitimately question like within a day what day it is. Like it'll be like it's Thursday, right? And you're like, no, it's Wednesday.
I definitely did that twice today. I was like, it's Saturday or Sunday, I think. No, wait, it's Friday. Yeah. It's crazy.
You think that's a good thing though?
That we can't tell what the day is?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's, I think a lot of us strive to live in the present moment. I think that's one of the biggest challenges of being a human, is to try and stay in the present moment and to not get caught up with like the bigger picture, and to not, project into the future like day in, day out, just to stay present. I think it's so important. But it's so hard, because I feel very grateful right now for the fact that my life right now, at least, who knows what's going to happen in the future, but right now my life is not terribly, terribly, terribly affected by the virus, aside from obviously loss of income, loss of work and stuff like that. But I don't have anyone, touch wood, I don't have anyone that's sick right now. I'm not sick. I don't even really know anyone that's close to me in my life that is sick from the virus. So that I feel very grateful for. But at the same time, it's really hard to not be sort of appreciative almost for the time that I have now. Like I'm someone like yourself. Like I was before all this, I was like running around day in, day out. Like it was hard for me to even just try and find an evening to spend with Mark, because I was just constantly working. So I have to sort of every now and then sort of appreciate the fact that I have all this time. But at the same time, I have to remind myself, but it's not a good thing that I have all this time either. So I feel it. I feel differently about it every moment of every day.
I think the extra time on your hand where you, like I was explaining it to my wife, I said, I feel like now that I don't have options as much as I did before, meaning like before all this happened, if I got home after work and I convinced myself of whatever bullshit that I was telling myself to not go to the gym that night, like, I'm tired, I don't have time, I went hard yesterday, maybe I could take a day off. If I got to the point where I convinced myself, I would feel like there's the part of me that normally like says fuck that bullshit. It is like, dude, like you cheated yourself tonight. Like there was no real reason, you made an excuse. But now that the option of going to the gym, for example, the option of doing the things that I normally did aren't there anymore, it's like I have like I feel relieved in a way, because it's like, I think the reason why I don't see time anymore for what it is, where it feels different, like the way it moves, the way it feels slower or faster, whatever perspective you look at it, I think it's because a lot of the times I don't have a schedule to keep anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because I worked full time and my schedule was the same from Monday to Friday. It was, get up at 6, go to work for 7, home for 3 every day. I knew what time it was and I knew what it looked like. Now I don't have that. And I'm free to do my things on my own schedule. And everybody that lives in the house with me kind of works under the same rule, I guess. And so for everybody, we kind of just mingle and we all like figure it out that maybe there's a lot of things we do that aren't important and that kind of eat away at our time. And that's how you wake up and you're 40 and you're like, what the fuck happened to the last 10 years? right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's really hard to not turn around and say, wow, I'm so appreciative of this time when you know that just outside your doorstep, there's a pandemic happening.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. It's like yeah, it's a double-edged sword, I think, like I'm definitely appreciative of having more sleep. Like I'm sleeping way more. I never used to sleep enough just because I was so busy. Um, I feel like I'm eating better because I'm eating real food all day, every day, rather than just grabbing something on the go. Um, yeah, like it's been shocking. Like, and I'm like calling my mom every day. That's
Yeah.
something I just never did. Like touching base with my mom across the ocean. Like that's so lovely just to know that she's okay and I have the luxury of being able to just speak with her every day. It's beautiful, it really, really is. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I'm obviously very scared about. Like I'm sure, like with yourself with kids, like it must be pretty scary thinking what the fuck does the future hold.
It's twofolds with kids. I find it's one is like, what is the future going to look like with all of this, right? Like, what
Mm,
can I expect? My kids are going to have a different life and different upbringing.
yeah.
Like they already were going to have a different upbringing,
Mhm,
but now with this, like,
mhm.
so much uncertainty and so much, this is going to bring forward changes
Oh
that
yeah.
are going to stick with us for the rest of our lives, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be like,
Mhm. Yeah.
and
And
I
it leads to
feel
more
that,
big things.
yeah, and I feel that my kids are at an age where it's like, I think we're lucky that, my son is 10, my daughter is 6. Like, they've been in the house since the beginning of all this. We
Mhm.
go out, obviously we go for walks because you got to exercise and stuff.
Mhm.
Keep them outside the house a little bit, but they're the same. They don't seem bothered. They don't really question. They're kind of just like, well, yep,
Yeah.
this is the new life. I think in a way they're like, I get to see my parents way more. I get to see my dad. I get to see my
Mhm.
mom. Like, we get to do more things together. It's more fun for kids, especially in the
Mhm.
age that I have them.
Mhm. Mhm.
But
They're adaptable.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's one side that's scary. And I don't really think about it that much, simply because I'm really trying hard to like live in the moment and not like think too much of the future, because it brings on anxiety that I just
Of
don't
course.
need. Right. And I try
Yeah.
to not think too much of the past either, because it's like, it doesn't serve me anything. Right. It's
Mm.
just like,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
so in a way I'm like, okay, I'm confident in my kids' abilities to adapt to this new life. So that I'm
Mhm.
not worried about. What I'm worried about is, like you, I don't really know anyone that's sick right now. It hasn't really affected us. We're all healthy.
Yeah.
I think when someone like me that deals with a lot of anxiety
Yeah.
before all this,
Mhm.
every day you question, like, is this gonna get me? Like, is
Yeah.
this gonna get me? Like, and if it gets me and it kills me, like, my family's fucked. Like,
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
didn't prepare for this. Like,
Mhm.
it's a life changer for
Yeah.
everybody involved, and it's like an end. Like, it's hard to fathom how one day you could be at home with your family and the other day you could be in a hospital and your family doesn't see you
Yeah.
for your last 3 or 4 days of life, because
Yeah.
they can't
Yeah.
come and see you, and
Yeah.
they just have to keep going after this as if, like, they just have to keep living in this new reality while
Yeah.
someone that they love and cherished is now gone,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
scary when you have kids.
Mhm.
I feel like if I didn't have kids, I would see this from a completely different perspective. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of people, when I see a lot of bullshit online on how people don't seem to take this as seriously as
Mhm.
others, I go, most of them don't have kids. It's
No,
different.
no.
You have to look ahead, and you have to kind of, it's not about me, like, it's about my kids. I want to make sure my kids are safe.
Mm. Mm. No, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, I think, I don't know about you, but there's like, there's a few people in my life on like the virtual life like on Facebook, that really believe in a lot of the conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like lumping those people in with the same group of people that are callous and going out and not really giving a shit about the virus. And like I'm lumping them all in together because it's kind of like you clearly just want to make up stories, and you're not, and you just got blinkers on, like you have these set ideas that are very, very selfish. And you clearly just don't give a shit about your future or anyone else's future around you, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, I see a lot of that when I go online. I've had to, that's something I've had to sort of make a conscious decision to do, and that's try and stay off Facebook a lot more than I used to. You know, like what with the company, I used to have to be online a lot, on Facebook and stuff, and I'm trying. It's not easy. It's so integrated into our lives now, right? To just be online. You pick up your phone and you find yourself on Facebook without even really, I don't know about you, but I do this without
Yeah.
even really
All the time.
realizing,
Yeah.
right? You get sucked in. And I'm really, really, really trying very hard to not do that, because you have to decide, like, okay, why am I actually looking through these articles? Why am I actually scrolling through this feed? Like, what am I actually going to get from this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
I made that decision with Twitter. Twitter was the one that was causing me the most anxiety because it's the most toxic, because people every time I kind of use Twitter as a news source for me. I don't listen to the news. That's the thing I was saying on my last episode. It's like I didn't used to listen to news. I didn't get home. I didn't put on CNN. I didn't put on the TV. Like if I got home, I put on sports, and then I went in the kitchen and I normally would do dinner and I would put a sports podcast. And while I worked, that's all I'd listen to. And it's like, I never listened to any, obviously and everything I got was through either Facebook or Twitter to be what's trending,
Yeah,
what's in the 24-hour news cycle.
yeah.
And so I didn't really use Twitter for a long time. And then I got back into it. And then when this whole thing happened, I was back on Twitter and I was like, I can't, because every day I would see something else. It's like, I started realizing that when the corona, after a couple of weeks of people talking about the coronavirus every day, people kind of got tired of it, right? And it wasn't trending anymore. And
Yeah.
it started not trending anymore. And then after that, they were like, oh, wait a minute. Like, we need something else. And then it's like the media is always looking for like clickbaity shit. And it's like every headline I would read would give me anxiety, because I don't know who to believe anymore, because people
Yeah.
just write the craziest shit just so they can get clicks, and I just don't know who to trust anymore. And I got off Twitter 2-3 days ago, like again for the second time, and my anxiety, I feel it. It's like I don't think about those things. I don't get them into my head, and I'm like, oh, am I feeling this? Am I feeling that? Like, and so it's like there's so much negativity. Same thing with Facebook a little bit, but Facebook is a lot less toxic right now, I believe. Like, people are starting to, like, the people like you that were strong in the conspiracies, they kind of slowed down now, because they're like, oh shit, like,
Yeah, I've seen, there's, I don't know, I mean, my previous, I call it my previous life, uh, as a yoga teacher. Like, there's a lot of people that are still in my, like, virtual life, people that I've taught classes to, and other yoga people, that it's very much like it's coming from that kind of crowd, that kind of hippie crowd, where they
yeah,
believe in, education is power. Absolutely, education is power, but you've got to question, like, what is that education that you're actually, absorbing? And a lot of them, they think that, like, by researching certain conspiracy theories and realizing that maybe the government is behind something such as this virus, they're educating themselves. They're not, because it's just no different to reading some bullshit article where it's the government that is driving that article for you to buy a certain product, or it's no different to that whatsoever. So yeah. I mean, I've never ever used Twitter. So
Really?
yeah, so I couldn't even begin to imagine what it's like. But for me, I mean, yeah, when I used to live in the UK, when I was living in England, I used to buy the newspaper. I used to buy the Guardian newspaper. So
Really?
yeah, so I found I was like a lot more just knowledgeable about what was going on in the world. And the Guardian is like I really do like their political standpoint. So I used to like reading that. And then when I moved here, I didn't speak French, and so I kind of got distanced and taken out of the current affairs of Quebec. I kind of felt like I didn't really know where to look for news,
Mm.
in English, and um, and now I speak French, so I could, but it's just I feel like I've diverged so far away from those 10, 15 years ago when I would read newspapers. It's
Yeah.
something I miss though. I really do miss reading a newspaper and being able to draw my own conclusions, Yeah, it's something I miss.
It's like, I think a lot of the news or journalists that they think that no one really relates the news anymore. They
Mm,
tell you different stories or different maybe perspective, but like just relaying like facts anymore. Not like there's so much bullshit out there where like you're like that is like, and especially now with this virus, like every new thing now is being associated with this virus, right? So if they
mm,
find something else that's new and weird, they'll be like, well, is it because of this COVID-19? Maybe it's related to COVID-19. Like
yeah,
at the beginning, I'm sure it's like you, like when this all started, like people were just sharing all sorts of different,
yeah,
you'd go down your timeline and you'd read something and then you'd keep scrolling and then you'd read another article that was completely different than the one you just read.
yeah,
And you're like, wait a minute, that came from this, that came from
yeah,
there. Like these are
absolutely,
reputable news source, but they're telling two different stories. And I'm like,
absolutely.
that's what scares me is that, and a reason why I kind of stay away from it, because I'm like, if I'm going to read the news
Mm,
and still go, what's true, what's not,
mm.
then why am I going to read the news?
Exactly.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And now it's even gotten to a point of where I feel we can't even trust. I mean, not that we could ever really wholeheartedly trust the government, but
Yeah.
it's gotten to a point of where we can't even trust the government anymore. And for myself, like I stay up to date with what's going on in Canada and Quebec, and I stay up to date with what's going on in England. So I have these three different, like stories almost that I'm following. They're all saying different things, and they all seem to just be wanting to get everything back to normal so that we can all be, pumping the economy. And it's just so hard to even know, yeah, like you say, like what to believe in. So what's the point? I guess we may as well just like, keep ourselves healthy and wait this out and see what happens.
See, that's the thing. Like what you said earlier, like, there's obviously a change to your life, like money wise and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's not a huge impact right now for us anyway. Like my wife works from home, and so she's got her full salary and she does work. Like she'll put in a full day's work almost every day. And
Yeah.
it's like she still works and I'm at home and I get the government help, thankfully, because I got laid off because my company closed for this
Mm-hmm.
time. And it's like we're okay. We're okay. Our kids are doing well during this. We're doing well. Like I feel like I've put in a lot of things in perspective for my life, and I've been
Mm-hmm.
able to like. I know there's a lot of bullshit that I removed during this time that I won't bring back when I go back to living a normal life.
Yeah.
And I think also because it's going to be progressive. Like we're not going to go from one day to the next being like, let's all go outside.
Yeah.
And even if they did say that, I'd be like, well, okay, you guys go to the park and I'm gonna stay
Yeah. Yeah.
home for a few weeks to make
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah. Yeah.
And it also makes you realize like where you allocate your time and where it really is not just needed, but like where it's, you feel the most, I don't know how to use, like wherever I put my time in, it's like I
Mm,
feel l- less guilty, or I feel
mm,
more fulfilled with the time that I gave, or the time that I
mm,
spend with my kids,
mm.
teaching them something, or just spending time with them, or just being around them and watching them grow and learn new things. Like it's just a different, completely different perspective. And I think a lot of people are going to have a hard time going back to life
Yeah,
as we know it, right?
absolutely, absolutely. Like it's funny because right now all osteopaths, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, massage therapists, like anyone that's in the manual therapy world, we've all been called basically to work at the CHSLDs. Um, and so I was called, and I really had to think about it, because like at the end of the day, it means that I could go back to work, right? It would mean that I'm earning money. It would mean that I'm going, I'm helping a good cause. I'm going and helping people that are really, really in need. Um, but I really had to think about it. I spoke with Mark, I spoke with my mom. I really had to think about it. Like, well, I'm severely risking my health,
Yeah.
and I'm asthmatic. At the end of the year, last year, I had whooping cough.
Oh,
Yeah. So my respiratory system is fucked. So I was like, okay, well, there's a very, very strong chance that I may well fall ill. But do I want to like almost allow myself to be a superhero for a little bit and go and work and help people that are in need? Or do I actually want to just stay safe in my own environment and put this time to good use? Meaning doing all the things that I feel that I maybe won't have another chance to do. Who knows, right?
yeah.
If after this the world starts to go back again, maybe I won't ever have time like this ever again. So yeah, it's I've been feeling like the time that I have had to myself, because I just finished examining all my students. So I was still teaching.
Before this happened, like you finished? Okay.
No, just last week.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm still teaching online 3 days a week and
Got
still
it. I got it.
examining students. So I just finished last week. So now I really have real time. And now I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to spend this time? And so I've kind of tried to kind of compile things that I know I've wanted to learn and do. But yeah, it was a difficult decision to make whether or not I wanted to go and help, or do I want to make sure that I don't fall ill and in the process not make Mark ill as well, because he would get
Yeah.
if I got ill. It's a difficult decision. It really is. I mean, the stories that I hear that are coming out of them care homes, they're horror
That's
stories.
horrible. I see. I don't
Horror.
even want to hear anything because I can only imagine.
Mm,
You got hundreds of people that are all of a certain age and are all at risk, and they're all getting sick.
yeah,
All of them getting sick. Like I just talking about it, just like it scares me. Like
yeah,
it's scary in a way, and you want to, like, from like I've said before, like I choose to believe the doctors and the scientists because in my opinion it's what is the lowest risk that my kids and my family can face if I follow these guidelines and these rules.
yeah,
Like we've stayed home, we've only gone out for walks and to go do groceries,
yeah, yeah,
and we've gone to my mom, we've stayed away just to say hi from the streets while they're on their balcony, and same thing with my in-laws, just so they
mm,
can see the kids, right?
mm,
And it's like, then we come back home and then we live this new life, and I can't let my mind wander into all these conspiracies. I'm not saying they're all false, but I don't have time. I don't have, it's not that I don't have it. I do have the time. I just choose not to allocate my time and energy into something that doesn't present any positive benefit for me because it doesn't really make a difference. I choose to follow these guidelines, and these guidelines provide my family with the highest, odds of being safe and being healthy. So, like, there's one thing that I've noticed during this pandemic is like that I've really like laid back and started paying attention. It's like how we react as not just individuals, but as a society. I'm starting to realize that certain people don't understand the concept of living in a society. Their selfish ways don't provide much or anything to their society. Like it's just by people's reaction and people's I don't want to question people's belief, because who am I to do that? But like I can question, like, I don't know, like, just why, and do you really understand what's going on? Like, we all have a part to play in society. Like, and I think a lot of people just don't kind of realize, or they just don't give a shit. They're like, yeah, whatever. I'm my own person. I do whatever I want. There's a part of that I feel like sometimes I'm like, look, I do my own thing. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, when you're in society and there's a pandemic that's killing people right now at a fucking high rate, you got to look back and go like, yeah, maybe I need to make some sacrifices and make some kind of adjustment to how I do things, or how I react, at least, to things like this.
I think it's also just a lot of that is people, it's almost like Schrodinger's cat, like, I think if they think, not that the virus doesn't exist, but if they think, oh, this isn't going to affect me, I can still go and do whatever they're going to do, make whatever idiotic decisions they're going to make. If I still go do that, I won't get it. I won't get it. I won't get that disease. I won't get this illness, without realizing it doesn't fucking matter if you're going to get sick or not. It's like, how is that going to then perpetuate into the rest of society?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's like I hear people say like, oh, it won't affect me, I'm just going to keep living my life. But you know what? If you live this other life where people actually follow the rules, you wouldn't catch it either. So either way, like, wouldn't you want your odds to be higher? Like, I think it's I think a lot of people just don't want to relinquish their quote unquote freedom. They believe that if they give in to the new guidelines of this new temporary society, because I believe it's temporary. I believe that I also believe that the government is making changes that they right now are saying is temporary, but that might not be so temporary. But again, look, life is going to be different no matter if this virus goes away or not. Like, it's not like we're going to go back to living life like it was before. People are going to be way more careful and more distant.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. It made me, it didn't scare me. It made me a bit sad to see how certain people didn't get the responsibility of living in a country that provides them with all those freedoms. And then they go and then all they do is question the fucking government. Like, I get it that it's not that you're a conservative and we have a liberal government. I get it. I get it. I get your political alliance. I really do. But these politicians are fucking human beings. They're dealing with a pandemic for the first time of their lives. So you can go, well, they should have been more prepared. Yes, they should have been more prepared, but they weren't. So they're kind of like moving along. Like, I get that the government should have been more prepared for us and for our safety. I get it. But everybody has a fucking role in society, no matter if you like it or not. You need to be part, because you might not want to admit it, but you, as a person, you get to benefit from living in this amazing country, right?
I mean, for myself, that's a really, really hard pill to swallow. When I hear people talking about they should have done more earlier, they should have done this, they should have done that, because I remember It was Thursday, the 12th of March. I was told by my boss, don't go to school. Like, don't come and teach on the weekend. We're going to be closed for 2 weeks. And I remember calling my mum in England because I was scared. I was worried. I was like, holy fuck. I called my mum, and my mum, first of all, basically really didn't have any idea about this virus. And the government hadn't said anything at that point in the UK at all. They hadn't released a statement yet. Nothing was being done. And it took another 3 weeks before anything was really done in the UK. And it wasn't even, they didn't even tell people, okay, this needs to shut down. You need to stay home. You need to wash your hands. You need to do this. It was, we advise maybe if you feel comfortable to do so, you can not go to work. And actually, still, they still haven't said that. They still haven't told people to not go to work. They've still only ever said to people, if you don't feel like going to work, it's best that you don't go. And now the UK has it has the highest death rate so far in the whole of Europe. Like, the entire country is tanking.
Wow.
Yeah.
I knew they were a bit late to the ball game, but I didn't it's ignorant on my part. I just don't follow the news. But
it's also like, I find that no one really knows about the UK, and I think it's because it's classic of English people to like stiff up a lip and say, we're going to get through this. Like, for example, today marks the 75th anniversary of VE Day, the end of the Second World War.
Yeah.
Today. And so the government has, in order to lift people's morale in the UK, they've said that we're going to have a giant street fair to just to celebrate the end of the Second World War. So get your little British flags, hang them outside. So my mom went and had like a little tea party with her friends. And don't get me wrong, she did it socially distanced and everything, but they're encouraging the whole country to celebrate the end of the Second World War. And it's just they've built their entire protocol around the virus on distraction. And I don't know why. I guess maybe because they knew that it was inevitable, that it was going to fail, because the country is just so dense and so overpopulated. But yeah, there's 33,000 people that have died so far. That was this morning.
Wow.
So,
well, it's like New York, right? Like, there's no other place in the United States that's so dense when it comes to population, and they got it, and they got it bad. And it's like, there's something to it, right? I think I don't want to put ideas out there, but countries like the UK are a lot older than Canada and the United States. Like, they come from a different mindset when it comes to running a country. They've gone to war so many times. They've had kings and queens, and there's other countries like that as well. They've been at war a lot. And I'm like, during wartime, one of the important things is to always keep the morale up.
Yeah.
Not just for the people that are at war, but for the people at home, the wives, the kids, the other people waiting for those people to come back. And it's always keep the morale up.
Yeah.
Don't show them. And it's like that in the United States. It's like that. That's why in the United States, like during this whole, how many years of war we had after 9/11, like you couldn't take pictures they couldn't show pictures of caskets on the media or on TV because they didn't want people to be, and it's like they always want to keep the morale up, or things are always going well. So they believe that by letting people be free and be together and celebrate, they probably think yeah, the morale is up. But man, things are going to shit. People are dying.
That's it. It doesn't work anymore. It's no, not something like this, I mean, I remember when this first started happening back in March, and the older generation, even here, I think a lot of them were saying stuff like, well, I lived through the war, I can beat this, and it's like, this is like unlike anything you've ever lived before. This is unlike anything anyone has ever lived before.
Like, this virus doesn't give a shit who you are,
Yeah.
what you've been through.
Yeah, exactly. So it's and I think that was really hard for a lot of people to realize that it's a virus. It's not a bomb. It's not a nuclear threat. It's something that we cannot physically control. It's going to hit, and it's going to hit hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's certainly interesting to think about where we're going to end up with all this. Yeah, it's especially for myself as a massage therapist. Like, I have to think about, like, what should I just now change my entire career, because my entire career is based on, like, touching people and being
Please don't. You're too good to stop. Please don't.
No, I mean, I had a whole conversation with Mark about it, and I was like, you know what? There's definitely one thing that they can't replicate, and that's they can't replicate physiotherapy and manual therapy. They can't.
No.
You cannot replicate someone's knowledge and what they feel under their thumbs, and just lived experience and knowing how injuries work. Like, that can't be replicated. It can't. An AI would not be able to do that in the same way that a human can. So I guess my
I don't
career.
want no robot massaging me. That's
No,
never going to be a thing.
No, that's it. That's the
I
thing.
mean,
Yeah. But I'm looking into, how am I going to dress? How am I going to design my space now? Like, how is everything going to have to change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely have to adapt. You're going to definitely have to
Absolutely.
put forward safer measures and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
But again, like, history has taught us that this is going to pass and things are going to get back to normal. Like, the Spanish flu killed at a way higher rate, and it lasted in this country. It was between, if I remember reading the history on Wikipedia, who knows if it's correct, right? But it's like, it was really 2 to 3 years where things were affected, right? And it's like a curve. It'll go up and then but this one day they'll have they'll have medication, or they'll have, they'll come out with something, right? And it'll be over, and we'll be just living our quote unquote new normal life.
Yeah.
Post pandemic, right?
Yeah.
It'll be like, it'll be in history. People will be talking about it for years, probably until our generation is long gone. Our kids will be talking about it, and then it'll just move on. And then in 100 years, they'll go through something bigger or worse. And it just seems to always be like 100, 120 years. Something has to, like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about how, if you think about how our cells replicate and change every 7 to 8 years, right? Like,
yeah,
I think probably it's not that we evolve as a species, but our species certainly, like, changes probably over so many cycles, over so many years, and so our immunity and our defense system, like, changes and has to adapt. So yeah, I think what's interesting is, for all of those people that were saying, like, this can't be a virus coming from a monkey or whatever it was, not a monkey, from a bat.
Yeah.
This can't be a virus coming from a bat. I think it's interesting that, I don't know if you saw this, but Mark just told me yesterday, it's now been actually confirmed that in France they had cases of what we now understand to be the coronavirus in November.
Yes.
In France. So, I think it's interesting to think that maybe it's something that it has been happening. It's been present for many, many months. It's now maybe it's mutated in such a way that it is now what it is. So it's interesting.
I think they also said in New York they went back to patient zero in, like, on the island of New York or in Manhattan or in New York, and it was all the way back, I believe, till November.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've also been reading a lot. Here's the thing, like it's like I guess the thin line between conspiracy and not conspiracy. Like they're
Hmm.
really, I believe that more and more people are starting to believe that this was made in a lab, and it was transferred to someone in a lab that got sick unknowingly and just went back and gave it to the population.
Yeah.
And it is also known that obviously it's mutated and there's a
Mhm.
lot of different strains now. Some,
Yeah.
but look, I'm not an expert in all this, so I don't even try to dig any deeper than this, right? It's
Yeah.
like I have friends like you that understand way more about these kind of things than could. I could, but I just don't have the research, right? And I have friends back home in New Brunswick. They're actually respiratory therapists. They work in
Oh,
hospitals.
yeah.
They're
With
both of them. They're a couple.
ventilation.
They live in
Yeah.
the same house, and
Okay.
they like they're my like he was my best man at my wedding, right? I love
Okay.
him. He's like a brother. We grew up across the street from each other,
Okay.
and if he tells me this shit's real and I need to take this seriously, I'm gonna believe that guy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He sees it every day. He goes to work. He sees it. He actually deals with this because he's a respiratory therapist. He
Yeah.
knows how this works and how this can kill you. So when
Yeah.
he texts me and he said, "Stay home and don't leave," I'm like,
Yeah.
guess what? I'm gonna stay home and I'm not gonna
Yeah.
go much, right? Like
Absolutely.
that's where the buck ends with me. That's where it ends with me, just trying to dig deeper and trying to bring like, as long as my family is safe, like I don't want to hear anything else about it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's
That's it.
book closed.
Yeah.
What I wanted to bring up now, let's try to a bit more positive with your job and what you do. Um, Obviously, things are going to be different once you go back to normal, but do you think that there's a lot of people right now, because I really pay attention to my body a lot, you know me, like I'm very like I every the new feeling, new things, does being at home every day, does
Mm,
this new home life change how your body reacts to certain things?
That's a really good question.
Like for example, like I work on my feet every single day from
Mm,
6 in the morning, and I walk 13, 14 kilometers a day just at my job. Then I go
okay.
to the gym. So I really put a lot of strain on I went from that to being sitting in my
Yeah.
office most of the day. And I feel like my feet are like, yo, motherfucker, like what's going
Yeah.
on? Like,
Yeah.
am I imagining this, or does your body have to
No.
adapt to this new life?
Absolutely. I think what's going to be interesting is when when eventually, maybe who knows when that will be, but when eventually I manage to get back into my office and I'm taking clients again, I guarantee you I'm going to see a lot of, because I tend to deal with, I kind of have two groups of clients, in all honesty. I have about 120 people on my book, and half, like really half is very, very active athletic people, whether they're professional or amateur, doesn't matter, they're training hard all day every day, pretty much. And then I have the other kind of group of people where they are office workers, or they are working in a job that requires them to be pretty sedentary. They're sitting at a desk, or they're doing, like, like for example, I have a client, she's a jewelry maker, so she sat
Okay.
at a desk, hunched over all day, every day. She's not working at a computer, but she's sedentary. She's sat in one position. I guarantee you, when I start to see my clients, I reckon the people that were very, very active, always coming to see me because they had an injury, because they, trained too hard, or they changed the way they were on working on the bike, whatever. I guarantee you the kinds of injuries that I'm going to see are probably going to be because they've spent now all of their days just indoors,
Yeah.
maybe in the same chair all day every day, or wearing, I don't know, wearing socks instead of wearing shoes, that are supporting their feet in such a way. Um, so I guarantee you I'm probably going to see a whole different array of injuries. I know for myself. Like I'm someone that, you know, I'm usually very, very active because I'm massaging, but I also go to the gym a lot, background of dance and yoga. Like I've always lived a very, very active life. I think honestly, since I was 12, 13 years of age, this is the longest period I've ever gone without moving, just all day, every day. And I'm feeling it in my body. Like I'm feeling, you know, my lower back is very, very tight, and I'm just feeling changes. I'm feeling my body almost like having to adapt, you know. Not to mention the fact that a lot of us are putting on a little bit of weight as well, which changes the way you hold your weight, right? The way that you position yourself when you're walking and sitting and moving. So absolutely, I think, you know, if this is the new normal for the next while, I think people are going to have all kinds of injuries, especially not to mention people that have maybe never ran before or worked out by themselves before, and
Yeah.
then they're just going to be like, yeah, I'll run a 7K, and they come back and they're dying, or they're going to start lifting weights that they've never lifted before. They have no idea how to lift a weight with good form, you know. So yeah, like for sure. I mean, I have clients that are texting me um, every few days, you know, help me please, like what exercises can I do? My back is just seized up. I don't know why. I'm moving as much as I can, but I guess because I'm not moving as much as I was. So yeah, absolutely. Um, it's and that's why I say I think I'm screwed in terms of my career for the next short while, but I think eventually, eventually.
Hi, what's wrong? No, I'm busy. Babe. Sorry about that.
No,
Give me,
let me
just give me a
see.
sec. What's going on? She's looking for the cat. I don't know what she.
Oh, um, so yeah, I think for the next little while, I'm kind of screwed in terms of the fact that I have to work in such close quarters with people. But I think eventually people are they're going to need help from physios and massos like myself, because there's really, there's no one else that can do work like that.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, in order to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. Like, I think people are going to start having injuries because of their either they're trying to work out, they're trying to move their body in a way that they've never done before, and they're
yeah.
just going to throw themselves into it, or they're going to go from being very, very active to being very, very sedentary, and they're going to start to feel certain things accommodating to that, you know. Yeah.
Because I've noticed a few things. Obviously, I got injured before all this happened, and then I had to deal with all that bullshit when all this started. So obviously, I wasn't working out because I couldn't, and my symptoms were just crazy, batshit crazy. So I
Yeah.
progressively during this time progressively started being a little bit more active, and then I would go through too hard, and then I would be like, yeah, okay, I would feel it right away. But it's like just the way I sit on the couch, right? Because I obviously I sit more on the couch now because I'm more at home. Like I
Yeah.
always sat on one side like this, like
Yeah.
leaning on my shoulder, because we have like an L shape. So I put my feet up, and then, oh shit, and then sorry, I kicked my camera.
Yeah.
And then it was just like I would lean, and then every day my traps would be like, why is my trap on this side like always fucking sore, and always my neck is messed up?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm always fucking sitting like this, and it's
Yeah.
always like, and so now I'm a bit more conscious. But when you're someone like me that pays attention to their body every single day, every little feeling I get, I'm like, what is this? Like I kind of know. It's like I make a marker, and I'm like, all right, let's see if this comes back, you know. Like I always pay attention. Some people don't do that, so they don't notice the small little difference. Like I noticed that my toes hurt, and I'm like, yeah, like they number one, they're all crooked from kicking and from I don't know what other ailment, but like I have the ugliest toes in the world. They're all really, really bad. And it's like I feel like because my feet, like I feel it in my feet, like I'll try to do shadow boxing at home and stuff. And if I do like for it for too long or too intense, my feet are like, yo, you've been at home for
Yeah.
so long now. It's like you can't just jump all back into this.
That's it. That's it.
So I try to pay attention, but I also noticed that certain things affect me differently. Like I've realized in the last week that I'm a bit more sensitive to caffeine,
Mm.
where before I guess my engine would have so much more output because I'm working at a physical job all day and I'm going to the gym and I'm working out hard every night. Like
Yeah.
having 3 coffees during a normal day of work, gym, and taking
Time.
care of the kids, you're gonna run through it.
Yeah.
But now I'm at home. I have a coffee in the morning, and if I have I had a coffee this afternoon around 4. Holy shit! Like
Yeah.
my heart just went like, ah. I was like, "What is this? Like,
Yeah.
what is this?" And I'm like, it's always either if I have a second coffee. I've realized this in the last week, and also if I once in a while I'll splurge and I'll have like a soft drink. I don't normally drink soft drinks, but it's fucking quarantine, so I'm like, I'm gonna have a soft
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's 30 grams of
Yeah.
sugar in there. I'll have a Coke at 6 with dinner, which I shouldn't, which I don't every day, but sometimes I'm like, you know what? Let me have a ginger ale. And then till 9 at night, I'm like, what is going on? Like, I feel like I'm having anxiety, but it's
Yeah.
because I, I have all this sugar in me, and it's like I don't know what to do anymore because I
Yeah.
don't output the same energy anymore. And it's
Yeah.
like my body hasn't got accustomed to it yet. It's like you normally go hard and you haven't done anything for
Yeah.
God
And
knows.
when you think a lot of people, I mean myself included, like I'm don't get me wrong, I'm not drinking a lot. There's a bottle of white wine in the fridge that has been in there for a week, and I'm drinking it slowly. You know, yeah, yeah, yeah. But that I'm a person that I would never drink. Not that I didn't try to drink. It's just that it's just not a part of my life. I'm so busy after I'm done a day's work. I don't want to then have a drink. I have like 2 hours in order to
Yeah,
enjoy before I have to go to bed. You know. Um. So I'm not a drinker, but like now alcohol is in my life. That's something that's new. And there's a lot of people that like I mean well, if you drive past an SAQ any day, the queue, the
yeah, as a
line
lineup.
for the SAQs is insane. And then the amount of sugar that people are intaking as well. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've definitely been craving sugar a lot more than I ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
It's
guess,
like your
that
body
little,
knows that you're like, yeah, you're like on break, you're like on
yeah,
vacation, you're not anywhere. It's like I don't understand what's going on here. Like you get up at 9
absolutely.
every day, you go to bed at 12:30. Like
Yeah.
uh I stopped drinking last right, last
Yeah.
June, last July, and I've kind of never looked back.
Mm,
And my wife drinks wine, like, but not like normal, a glass every night. She'll go a few nights, she won't drink. Like
yeah.
she
Mhm.
she doesn't indulge that much. Maybe once a week she'll go on. She calls her sister, and then it's mostly on Saturday. They call each other and they're on the phone for like 6 hours. Then when I put the kids to bed, then I become part of the conversation, and then my wife just drinks like a bottle of wine through the whole thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
but I haven't. There was a part of me at the beginning of this, I'm like, I'm going to have the urge to drink, like I will, right? And
Mm,
it's
mm,
I've like when I started this journey of not drinking for no reason from one day to the next, going, I don't want to drink anymore. And people asking me and me telling them, I don't know why. I just felt like
mm, mm,
I didn't need it.
mm,
I don't even think about it anymore. Like at
mm.
night, like obviously I'll smoke my joint. And I even before I would smoke and I would drink a glass of wine, and I don't think about it anymore. And I didn't think about it during this quarantine. And I'm like, I didn't expect to do this for the rest of my life. I was
Yeah.
like, let me stop drinking and see if I could do it maybe for a year.
Yeah.
At first, it was like, let me see if I can do it for 30 days. And
Yeah.
then 6 months, a year. Now it's like, it's going to be a year. And it's like, I could easily go the rest of my life without drinking.
Yeah, for sure.
Easily. And it, not that I didn't notice. I noticed when I would work out that
Yeah.
my cardio got a lot better. My physical body got a lot better for some reason. And it was like, I just don't need this anymore. And I don't see why I would either add it, but there's a lot of people during these times that are going hard on the
Yeah.
booze because You know what scares me, and who I don't want to feel sorry for anybody, but who I don't envy at all is people that
Mhm.
are alone. Young people that are single and living alone. No pets, no nothing.
Yeah.
You're constantly looking to occupy your time, right? Imagine
Yeah.
being at home, not being able to go to work. You don't have anybody that lives in your house with you. You have your TV, your phone as source of entertainment slash news
Yeah.
slash something. And push that forward, some of those
Mhm.
people don't really interact with a lot of
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
The mental health
Absolutely.
issues after all of this
Oh my
is
God.
what scares me, because it's going to affect mostly men, because
Yeah.
they're not going to want to talk about it. They don't get to
Mhm.
talk about it during this quarantine,
Mhm.
and they get used to not
Yeah.
talking about it. And at the end of this, they'll be like PTSD, but they'll be like, "Yo, I was in there for 6 months at home, and
Yeah.
I didn't have a choice to not talk about it. I'm not going
Yeah.
to talk about it now. Fuck it."
I mean, people like international students that are here to study, they don't know anyone because their family is wherever else in the
Yeah.
world. And they were here studying, and then all of a sudden, this hit. They can't get home. They don't know anyone. They live by themselves. They don't have a pet because they temporarily lived here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's them. Like you know, I'll be respectful, so I won't name names just in case they end up listening to this. But I have a student that I really had to check in with him through this period, like up until his exams, just because he's living by himself and he doesn't have a pet, he doesn't have anyone else in his life, from what I understand anyway. Not that I know him intimately at all, but from what I could tell, and it's not been easy for him. It's not been easy for him. So yeah, I don't envy those people whatsoever. And I mean, like, my mom is a carer, and there's an old lady that she's still gone to see every couple of days, actually, because she doesn't leave her house.
Yeah.
So I've just being really, really careful. She drops off groceries for this woman. My mum said, like, I can't not go and see her because at the end of the day, she's 90 years of age. She doesn't have kids. She literally has no one in her life. No one.
No.
And so it's like, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if people are going to experience like real PTSD after it. People that have like stayed inside and haven't gone out, don't really know many people, don't really have anyone in their life. The other thing that I keep thinking about constantly is I am so grateful for the fact that I'm living through this with Mark and not like a fucking horrible ex or like a terrible roommate or like, can you imagine living with a girlfriend that the two of you hate each other, the relationship is nearly done,
Fuck.
and then this happens.
But you can't go anywhere, right?
You have to interact.
If you had to guess, how many couples have broken up and have become roommates? Like,
You know what?
guess. Like, I think there's at least 30% of couples
Oh yeah.
that are no longer couples, they're roommates.
Yeah, because when you think a large amount of people, they've never lived with, like, I've never spent so much time with Mark. I don't know
Yeah.
about you. You've probably never spent this much time with Christy.
No,
No, it's
it's true.
insane.
And
Like,
we've been together for 14 years,
yeah,
have kids together, but
yeah,
we're used to being around each other maybe before going to bed 3 to 4 hours a day.
that's it.
Now we're together all day,
Yeah,
and I'm grateful
yeah.
that she hasn't killed me yet, and I'm also grateful that she doesn't drive me too crazy. But
Is she there? Is that
yeah,
Chrissy?
she is. See, she heard me. Are you guys looking for the cat?
Perfect timing.
Close the door. Oh, sorry.
That was such perfect timing.
Yeah, I heard her. I heard her roaming around.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel very grateful for being so happy with Mark. I know it's a very fortunate place to be because, yeah, there's a lot of couples out there. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but I'm sure it is. I heard that there was a a divorce lawyer in the States, in New York, that she was saying she's never had so much work. She's been in the business for like 30 odd years,
Really?
and she's never been so busy. She's on Zoom, Skype, Messenger
Ah,
chats with all of these people all day, every day, trying
can
to
you
like figure out their divorces.
like
Yeah,
booming business, divorce lawyer, just instant billionaires all of a sudden, like boom,
yeah,
bing, 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 bing.
yeah,
You think
yeah,
you're gonna be at home just chilling? I'm a lawyer. No, I can't go to court anymore. Your fucking phone is blowing up. Everybody's calling you. I want a fucking divorce.
yeah. But then even if you say, okay, I want a divorce, you still have to live with that person.
You can't go anywhere.
No, unless I guess if you had the luxury of money, then maybe you could check into a hotel. But no, hotels aren't even open. So
It's definitely scary for some, funny for others,
mm,
and just as normal as possible for, I think, the majority. As much as people want to say, this sucks, or this is this, or this is that, I think at the end of the day, if they really look back and go like, what has really changed? Like their lives are either better
mm,
or the same as far as being happy or efficient at life or just productive.
yeah.
The funny thing for me is that I said from the beginning of this, when we were all at home, when we didn't have a choice, me and my wife is smart. You know, Christine, she's extremely organized.
Yeah.
That's what she does for a living, right? She's an
Yeah.
event planner. So when this all started, she was like, she made a fucking schedule. The kids are going to teach. We're going to teach here, class here, this here. And then I was like, well, I'm going to teach martial arts. So I do that 3 times a week,
I've
every,
seen you
every
guys.
morning. So we're
Yeah.
like, listen, you know what? We have to homeschool our kids. We're going to do it our way. And we just fucking, within a week of this confinement, we were on a plan and kids were behind it. And it was like, it rolled. And it's been rolling ever since. Like at first I was like, yeah, this is going to last 2 weeks and then it's all going to go to shits after. But no, we've stuck to the schedule because my wife is in charge, and
Yeah.
she like she's the queen bee here. I do nothing. It's like, it's not I don't do nothing, but I do. But it's like she's organized. She does it. And we adhere to this schedule. We have for the whole duration of this thing. So for us, it's like, fuck, I get paid, I get some money coming in, and I have that luxury until I get back to work.
Mm,
Like it's convenient. Like my life right now is kind of convenient. It sucks that I can't go outside. It sucks
yeah.
that my kids can't go see their grandparents. There's a lot of
Mm,
things that suck. And so when this all started and we got ahead of the curve, like I wouldn't say ahead of the curve, but because my wife is so good at this, we kind of like, we got on point real fast and things were smooth. The transition was extremely smooth.
yeah.
I told my wife, I said, I said, soon enough, because people were complaining at this point. They were like, this is bullshit. Or everybody was either scared or everybody
Mm,
was like, why can't we go outside? And I was
yeah.
like, just pay attention. I said, give it a few weeks and people are going to get used to this lifestyle.
Yeah. That's
And they're
it.
not going to want to go back to normal
Mm,
as fast as the government wants us to. Right now, that everybody wants, I can't wait for us to get back to normal so we can all see each
yeah.
other and
Yeah.
go to
Yeah. Yeah.
park and
Yeah.
have this. And then last week, the government announced, hey, we're reopening the schools in 2 weeks. And then everybody was like, no, it's too early. It's too early now. And I'm like, a lot of the people that are complaining, I guarantee you it's because they're at home. They don't have to worry about money. And everything it's easier for them. It's convenient now, this lifestyle.
Yeah.
They don't want to go back to working and picking up the kids and
Yeah.
going everywhere to pick up the
Yeah.
kids, pick up the groceries, do this. No, no,
Yeah.
no. And if you tell me otherwise, you're lying to my face. You're lying to my face because I'll admit it that I kind of want to go back to work, but there's a part of me that kind of like, I don't really care. It's very convenient for me, this lifestyle right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, that's why, like, the idea of, like, the idea of, like, a universal wage
Yeah, income.
I kind of think that's an amazing idea. I really do. Like, I think it would be so hard for many, many years for us to all adapt to that,
Yeah.
because we would literally all have absolute quality. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Everyone would be earning the exact same amount of money. But I think it would be amazing. We would have so, hopefully, I think it would mean we would have so little to worry about. And I think, there would be a part of you that would say, like, you know what, I'm gonna take a year off. I'm gonna take a year off and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and then I'll go back when I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like, I really do think it could be fantastic. Yeah.
If you can give me enough money to pay for all my necessities for a month, and I was free to go and still work and collect my own money, people would see there's a freedom there, and they'd be like, wait a minute, okay, I get this $1,000 every month or $1,200 or whatever the government wants to give me. Everybody gets the same thing. Okay, and I get maybe I take a break and maybe I do what I really want to do. It doesn't make as much money as my job, but I don't really need that money anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I think it could be incredible. I really do.
Well, that's it for episode 38, part 1 of my conversation with Jade Salter. Part 2 will be released on episode 39 this Thursday in 2 days. I really hope you enjoyed my conversation with Jade. I got caught up editing the episode because it was all in one, and I'm like, okay, I got to find like halfway point, a good conversation to end it, and then I needed a good subject to start off episode 2. So I was trying to find a sweet spot when I was editing, and so I just clicked like halfway and I started listening, and it's been like 20 minutes. I got caught up in the conversation that we were having on Friday as I was trying to edit Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for subscribing. Everybody, if you've subscribed before already, thank you. If you've talked about the podcast, if you shared episodes, I greatly appreciate it. I really appreciate it. If you haven't done so and you enjoyed this episode, this podcast, go ahead and subscribe. We're available pretty much anywhere where you get your podcast. Also, check out my YouTube page. I upload all the episodes on my YouTube page. Again, I appreciate every single one of you, and I really hope everybody is safe out there. Much love.